Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go!
Hey, JR, how much Ram stuff you got?
Not that much.
No?
I think I have a bunch of stuff in my mom's basement from from 2000, 2003, but I got this hat from the Rams a couple weeks ago, and I did some stuff for them when I was home, but I don't have a lot.
No. Do you have like an old jersey of yours, like a game worn jersey or anything like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I got all of them. Yeah.
Wow. What do you think's the coolest piece of, whether it's like when you're a young Jon Ryan or NFL, what's the coolest piece of memorabilia or something you've got in your mom's garage?
Oh man, that's a good question. I got outside of my office here, I got both my Super Bowl jerseys framed. But I think I got like all the way back to like my Pee Wee Steelers jersey. I got my Sheldon Williams jerseys back at home. I got some cool stuff in my mom's basement.
So I like you won a Super Bowl and you should have won 2 Super Bowls. Can you look at that second? Can you look at that second Super Bowl jersey? Like you got it there. Can you look at it? Like that must be hard.
You know what? I think that having won in 2013 or 2003, 13, sorry, it kind of takes the sting out of the second one a little bit. And as I get older, and now I look back, I kind of appreciate that season. Appreciate how we got there. Obviously, the interception at the end hurts, but you can kind of appreciate the whole process more than at the time. It's Sergio Castillo last year. He was the kicker for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They lost the Grey Cup to Toronto, and he wrote me after the game. He goes, "What should I do with this jersey?" I got my jersey. You would probably know better than anyone, John.
Mm-hmm.
We lost the game. What do I do with this jersey? I said, you frame it. I said, because you played in the Grey Cup. That's a big deal. Right now it hurts. You play for Winnipeg, used to winning Grey Cups. It hurts right now, but you're going to appreciate it someday. So frame it. And he said, thank you. And he ended up framing it. And I think he'll appreciate that in 10 years down the road when he's no longer playing football.
So everybody wants to get rid of Trey Ford now. Like, get Trey Ford out of there. He had a terrible game yesterday, 34 yards passing. The game before he was rolling, and they, for some reason, pulled him out to put Cody in, and nothing against Cody. But so now we're pulling Trey Ford out. So hear me out here. I hear Trey Ford, and I don't know if he'll be Vernon Adams, but Vernon Adams is just coming into his own now as a 33, 32-year-old quarterback. He started as a third stringer. He's never really been able to establish himself as a starter. I think he kind of got the raw end of the deal last year with the BC Lions, even though I love Nathan Rourke. So now he's in Calgary, and man, he carved the Riders up for 428. I caution that we just kicked Trey Ford. We're looking for new, young, exciting quarterbacks, and now we want to just dump them to the sidelines.
Yeah, it was funny that 2 games ago or last game when Trey Ford, they took him out, and Cody comes in for a series. I don't agree with that, doing that at all. If that's your guy, let's roll with him. Unless we're down by 30 in the fourth quarter, let's roll with our guy. Trey Ford, tremendous athlete. We're looking for quarterbacks of the future. The guy's only, I think, 27 years old. He's Canadian.
Yes.
Like if he's your guy, let's roll with him. I mean, nothing against Cody. Cody, I mean, probably the best backup quarterback in the league because he's not a backup quarterback. Cody should be a starting quarterback. I absolutely love the guy, and they have a great backup quarterback there. But if Trey's your guy, let's roll with him. And as you said, we're trying to find these quarterbacks of the future. Great athlete, Canadian on top of it all, which is tremendous. So if he's your guy, roll with him.
Bo Levi Mitchell likes to sling it. He's got his 50-50 guy now, Kenny Lawler. I don't know if you saw that catch, but that's a catch on Sunday. If we want to compare the leagues, you'll be hard pressed to find a better catch this year than that one.
Unbelievable. Kenny Lawler is just an incredible receiver. I was with him in Seattle when we drafted. I believe we drafted him in the 5th round. Ended up cutting him. Didn't make it to the regular season. But even back then, I was like, this guy has these hands on him. He's got mitts. Like he wears like a triple XL glove. I mean, the guy has huge hands, and he just so good to see him play the way he's played in the last whatever it has been now, 5, 6, 7 years in the CFL. But when you got a quarterback like Bo Levi who's just going to sling that thing up to you, throw it up to you, and as you said, 50-50. But when it comes to Kenny Lawler, it's more like 75-25. So he's just a fun guy to watch.
And he's a guy that is an example of perseverance, and there's so many of those in football, but in the CFL. His first year with the Bombers, my son found out because they're, the coaches and other teammates are like, hey, Ethan, just be patient. We've all gone through it. And Ethan has been patient, but they said, look at Kenny Lawler. He spent the first 14 weeks on the practice roster with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at a guy who came out of college drafted. I think it was the 5th round. You draft him in the 5th round, you think you're going to make the team. You think you're going to play in the NFL for 4 or 5 years. And to get cut and then bounce around and go to the CFL. And I don't know what guy in the CFL makes on the practice squad right now, but back in my day, it was like $500 a week. I mean, you're living below the poverty line.
It's
by
$1,000 now. It's $1,000 now.
Okay, so it's doubled now, $1,000 a week. Doesn't seem bad on 52 weeks, but you're on an 18-week schedule. You're making 18 grand a year. It's tough to live off that, and to see how he came through that, got onto the roster, and now just been, in my opinion, the best receiver in the CFL. You got McInnes as well, but you have some other guys out there. But I think Lawler's the number one receiver in the CFL.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, man. He is definitely stepping up. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Rough Riders Calgary game, the game itself first. Hey, I love Mark Mueller. I think given the opportunity, he'll be a head coach in the CFL. Okay,
yeah,
but I won't say, I don't want to use the word worse because he is a friend. He's a friend of yours too, teammate. You know him. It was a head scratcher for me as the offensive coordinator in this game. Now, I'm not sitting there. I'm watching it on TV. I don't have the all 24 view. I'm not in the booth with him. But you dress 2 American running backs. Kadeem carries one of them, and he only got 1 carry in the game. Now, I know Calgary's D-line was great, but the Rough Riders averaged 139 yards. You got 2 bell cow running backs, 1,000-yard rushers, and you only ran the ball like 9 times, and 2 of those was Tommy Stevens in a short yardage situation. So for me, it was a little bit of a head scratcher from the offensive play calling. I don't know why, but I'm like, you got a guy that hates his team. He hates the Stampeders, Kadeem Carey. He was critical of them after Argos won the Grey Cup. That this is a much better organization. Like, give the guy the ball, let him pound somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I love Mark Mueller. I'm not saying anything bad about Mark Mueller, but when you look at any kind of game and you see there's 44 pass attempts and we have 7 rushing attempts for 12 yards. We take out Tommy Stevens. It's a little bit head scratching. I think that also, they're playing from behind pretty much the entire game. Down 17-3 at the half. You're kind of playing from behind, so you're gonna air that ball out more often than not. But if you don't have a balanced attack, usually you're not going to win football games. If you're number one guy, AJ carries the rock 6 times for 9 yards. You look at the stats. It doesn't matter that Trevor Harris threw it for 425. You're probably not going to win that game when you have your big running back rushing for 9 yards.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you first of all, you're friends with Brett Lauther. So am I. You went to Brett Lauther. He had a reception after the game where he made those
during
field
and
goals.
after.
Yeah, during and after. So tell me about that celebration first. He was celebrating. He got married, but it was like a wedding reception.
Yeah, back was it June 28th? It was actually his 1 year anniversary, but I think they kind of eloped, and so they did a big party at the game, like 60 people. We were up on the deck on the north side there. If you think Saskatchewan boys can drink, you should see these Halifax boys, these Nova Scotia boys. My God, I mean, these guys. I mean, they have Pilsner running through their veins. I mean, these guys, they're absolutely insane. But we just had a lot of fun up there with his wife and his dad was there, and all these Nova Scotia boys. So it was a lot of fun. And thank God, Brett had a terrific game. I think he went 5 for 5 and just had an absolutely incredible game. It would have ruined the party had he not played well, I think. That's right. And had there been what happened in the Calgary game with the smoke and the delay, man, you guys would have really been drunk. Or he wouldn't have been able to drink. Yeah. That was thank God it wasn't that game. Okay, so let's talk about Brett Lauther. You're the general manager of the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Brett Lauther's been through some slumps before, and he's come back. Like last year, I think he missed 4 field goals against the Owls earlier in the year, and then he went the whole year and only didn't miss a field goal or missed 1 field goal. So he can turn it around, but he's been very
He's been out of sorts. He's been inconsistent. Would you bring in like a Boris Beatty, like a Thunder kicker Maximus, like a Galvin from the Rams to push him a little bit in camp? Because it's pro football. It's like we can be friends, but we talk about if quarterbacks have bad games or other players. Should they? If you were the GM, would you look? How would you assess the situation, your kicking game? Because I don't think the kicking and the punting's been very good this year for the Rough Riders. That's just my opinion.
No, I understand. I kind of go back to what I said about Trey Ford. If he's my guy, I'm gonna ride with my guy. And Brett Lauther, he's not only a great kicker and has proven that for the last 7 or 8 years. He's a huge locker room guy. He's one of the I don't know if they have official captains, but he's kind of one of the captains of that team. Guys that look to him, PA guy. Yeah, guys love him. So sometimes it just happens. It's only 5 games in. We got 13 games to go. If we're looking, 13 weeks from now, and we need a win to get into the playoffs, do you want who do you want to kick that ball? I want Brett Lauther to. So that's what I'm looking at. He might be. It's just the way things go with kickers. Right now he's, I don't know what he is, 65%, 70%, something like that, maybe closer to 65. He go on a hot streak right now, and tear off 25 straight, and he's 85%. And that's the kind of thing that it's such a small sample size when you're looking at kickers. I know it's kind of what you've done for me lately, but it's such a small sample size that you can go on a hot streak and just turn the whole thing around. And that's usually what Brett Lauther will do.
We say it's a business, and it is a business, but it's also a business because off the field he does a lot in the community. He's got that hockey tournament hockey game that he spearheaded. So it goes back to when they let go of you too. There's performance based, and you were still kicking the stuffing out of the ball, but there's also what does the guy give me in the community? That's something that these teams, especially in the CFL, have to think about, right?
Especially in the CFL. I mean, these guys are like pillars of the community. These guys have been here a long time. You look at a guy like Jorgen Hughes, who's I call him Mr. Saskatchewan Rough Rider, because the guy, no one loves playing for the Saskatchewan Rough Riders more than Jorgen Hughes. You see these guys and what they bring to the community. You can't really put a dollar value on that because that these guys like Brett, just absolute pillars in the community, doing charity work, staying there year round now, even though he's not necessarily from Saskatchewan. So it's just you can't put a dollar amount on that, and just great guy to have in the community, great guy to have in Regina.
Okay, so you've held and you've taken so many snaps on field goals, your hands probably have bled, like you can't even count how many. Okay,
no.
How long does it take to get the chemistry? But and I don't want to blame Couch. I don't think it's all Couch. Obviously, it's a 3-man thing there. But Couch is a holder. How long does it take to get chemistry between a new holder and a kicker? Because I think a lot of people just gloss over that. They don't think much about the hold.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a tight operation. It happens so quick. You're looking at 1.3 seconds from snap to kick. You really got to trust that guy holding the ball for you. And, I've been in situations before where it's happened right away. Just the way you work with the guy is comfortable with you right away. And there's been times when it takes a little bit, especially when I was younger and I wasn't as good. And so I think that, it's hard to put like a week or a day, like it's going to take 4 weeks or 4 months or whatever. It's something that has to come with reps. And I'm talking hundreds, sometimes thousands of reps before guys are really comfortable with each other. And you can kind of break that trust really quick with a bad hold here or there.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because he's gone, like, just in short memory here, he's gone from you to Korzak to this guy. That's almost like switching offensive coordinators every year almost. You know what I mean? You got to learn.
It really is. It's people just think that you grab the ball, you hold it, you put it down. It's so much more than that. It's a fluid thing, and it has to be a fluid motion, and the guy has to be comfortable with it. And when you start to switch up guys, on the regular, like we have been doing with Brett, it makes it really tough for him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's actually talk about from a business side this debacle of the Friday into Saturday. Now, you were in I know for sure one, but maybe 2 rain delays, weather delays, one in Montreal where they called the game. Okay.
Yeah.
What's it like for the players, and what would they have gone through?
It's tough, especially what they went through the other night, Friday night. Because you're there, you're ready, and at any time they just come in, they go, okay, we got 30 minutes to warm ups. You go on the field, you got 30 minutes to warm up, and now you're playing a game. So you're ready to go. You don't know if it's going to be at 7. You don't know if it's going to be at 10:45. To stay ready for that long, it's tough to do, mentally and physically. You know, you're constantly being warm, you're constantly stretching, and then for them to come into the locker room, I believe it's almost 11 o'clock.
Yeah. After 10, after 10.
After 10, yeah. And say, you know, you're coming back tomorrow morning, you're doing it all over again. That's, I mean, mentally, that's rough. I mean, I was trying to put myself in their shoes on Friday night, and I was like, man, to get yourself up for the game and then to have to go home and sleep. You know, after a game, I could never sleep. I was up till 4 or 5 in the morning, and now you have to wind yourself back down and get yourself back up again the next morning. People that haven't done it might not seem what a huge deal that is, but it's really tough. And I can't believe, I mean, to get yourself back up for that game is really a tough task.
Well, you got to tip your cap or helmet to the Calgary Stampeders because they couldn't get back in there. Only a handful could get back into the Hotel Sask. The rest had to sleep 4 to a dorm in Regina. And if that's how they're going to play, they should sleep 4 to a dorm next week in Winnipeg against the Bombers at Manitoba because they kicked the shit out of the Riders. Like, they dominated that game. Now, conversely, it's not as easy to sleep in your own bed because you go back, your family's probably been at the game, they're waiting for you to come home, nobody's going to sleep right away, the dog's there, like you said, you're wound up. So yeah, you're in your own bed, but you're probably not going to sleep that fast.
No, it's impossible to wind yourself back down. You know, it's so hard to do. And as you said, in a way, you know, for the Bombers to have to, I didn't hear that, or for Calgary to have to go and sleep in dorm rooms and do that. I didn't hear that side of the story. That's absolutely crazy. I can't quite imagine having to do that. And I know that it gets you out of your routine. And when you play football, you're really in a routine. You know, especially when I was in the NFL, you play every Sunday, every single day. You could call out any day of the week at any time, and I'll tell you exactly where I was because everything was such a routine. And then I got to the CFL, and it wasn't as routine. And in CFL at home, you stay at home. You know, you stay in your own bed the night before a game. The NFL, you're always in a hotel. Home or away, you're always in a hotel. So I went to my first 2 CFL games, playing for the Riders, playing home games, and both guys, like, I felt out of sorts. Something wasn't right. And so for the rest of the year, I checked into the Hotel Sask on every Saturday. The day before every game, I stayed there the night, got my breakfast, went through my whole NFL routine. So I stayed in the hotel the night before every CFL game I played.
Wow,
after
that's
that point.
Cool. Yep. That's cool. So you're a business owner. Take me through this side. I was critical of the league, and maybe to an extent the Riders, although the Riders don't handle league policy. That's not their deal, okay? It's their home game. And they did, in hindsight, give some vouchers and try to give some refunds. So kudos to the Riders. It's going to cost them a pretty penny what happened. But just talk about it, maybe give me a little bit of, or lead me down the empathy path to what they're considering upstairs. Because that's a lot to cancel a game and then get all the ticket takers and everything behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute nightmare headache. You know, in baseball we handle it a lot more. You know, with rainouts that happen all the time. Obviously, I'm living with like a world where I have to make 3,700 people happy. The Riders are having to make like 20,000 people happy. So they're working on a different scale, but it's always a nightmare. You know, for us, you know, 3 o'clock game day, that's when we fire all our food up. So we're firing tens of thousands of dollars worth of food up. And then all of a sudden the rain comes in at 5:30 and we're flushing all that money down the toilet of, you know, a few $1,000s of the hot dogs. You know, and the Riders, they had to do that on a much larger scale. I know the fans actually came into the stadium, right? Some fans sat there for 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, they did. Lots of them.
Yeah. Waiting for the game to start. So it's just, you know, logistically, it's an absolute nightmare for them.
You know, so here's my critique on this whole thing, okay? I wish fans were complaining that there wasn't enough announcements during the game, okay? I would have loved to have seen my president, like a Jon Ryan, Jim Hopson, and Craig Reynolds get up there a couple of times on the big screen and say, hey, this is what we're doing. You guys know, like even the commissioner said, only 2 teams made money last year. Listen, we're trying to get this game in because we're not exactly, you know our situation. We want to get this in. This could be costly for us, but rest assured, we're going to look after you. So I'd love to see some in-house announcements. But the other thing, John, I picture no disrespect, you're in unbelievable shape, but I picture a 39-year-old Jon Ryan at the stadium for a 7 o'clock game showing up at 4. 39-year-old Trevor Harris, 35-year-old Jamarcus Hardrick, 33-year-old Vernon Adams Jr. At some point, doesn't somebody have to have some stones and say, okay, listen, this isn't happening tonight. We're not putting a football game on it. John, when's the last time a football game was played at 11:15 p.m. in any league? I'll wait.
I hope
wait.
never. I hope
I'll
never.
wait. Exactly. So at some point, do we not have to call it so Calgary can get their accommodations, get hydrated, get to bed early, the riders can get home, don't get home at 11:30, get home at 10:30, calm down. Like, at some point, just call it, right? That's the part I had, and it feels like they got policies, but they're not sure how to execute them or never gone through what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think they're probably going to look back and think of find the faults in what their decision making, and the way they rolled it out to the fans. When you're sitting there for 5 hours, you want a few updates. I remember the rain delay back in 2021 in Montreal, and even as players, we were sitting there, we're trying to stay ready for an hour, and we're getting no updates from anyone. It's basically we were working on rumors. Guys were listening to TSN on their phones and relaying what they were saying because we just weren't getting any updates. We had no clue what was going on. So, I can imagine that being pretty frustrating when you come to a Rider game. You think you're going to be home by 10:30, and you're sitting there at 10:30 and not know what's going on. I mean, I can imagine that'd be pretty frustrating. I think they'll go back and they'll kind of find the things they screwed up, and if it happens again, hopefully it doesn't. But it seems with these forest fires, it's happening more and more. Things like this. Hopefully they kind of fix the errors they made. Okay,
so there you raise a good point, and that's where I kind of wanted to end it off. I think we have to have some common sense, which is funny. When we call it common sense, it's not very common. Now, listen. You played in the league. I have friends in the league. Brett Lauther, Hughes, lots of guys I like, okay? Yeah. And, of course, I got a kid trying to get into the league. He's on the Bombers right now, okay? So I have a vested interest in this. But at some point, like you said, it's a new world now. We have got forest fires, and these forest fires, it seems, are only getting worse. And that's going to affect the CFL because it's one dome stadium and we're not moving the schedule. So do we not have to have some sort of compromise? If we have cheerleaders doing backflips and we got babies and seniors sitting in the crowd, I know there's a threshold, and I know these guys are running around. It's different than sitting in the crowd. I totally get that. But I think we need to have a meeting on what can we handle and what can't we handle in terms of playing. Because, listen, we're worried about guys breathing, but we're going to put people on the field at 11:15. Can you imagine how catastrophic that would have been?
I can't imagine, going on the football field and playing football till 2 a.m. when you were all ramped up to play at 7. I can't imagine. And as you said, these forest fires are, just crazy. It's a new world that we're living in Canada. I remember as a kid, do you ever remember a game being canceled due to forest fires or air quality?
Never.
Not once in my entire life.
Never.
Growing up playing football, everything in Canada for 21 years. I don't remember ever that happening. And now it seems like it's almost like a weekly occurrence. We're talking about air quality. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not the guy that can say what's safe to run around in and what's not. But I think it needs to be constantly evaluated and see kind of where we're at.
Well, and I just think, like you said, it comes back to this. They just need a little bit of better protocol. When the Weather Network is telling me, I know they have their own monitoring systems at these stadiums, the Riders do for sure, but when the Weather Network, and they're not always right, but when they're telling me, and Environment Canada is telling me it's going to be crappy till 11 o'clock at night, pull the pin. After 9 o'clock, I can live till 9 or 9:30 because the Riders go out west and play in BC at 9 or 9:30 Saskatchewan time. But after that, come on. What are we doing here?
Yeah, like it was. It's funny because I was at a birthday party that night, so I was trying to follow it on my phone, and I kept on getting email updates from the Saskatchewan Rough Riders saying we're pushing it till 7:45. At that time, we think the wind's going to turn and we're going to be good. And then 30 minutes later, okay, we're pushing it to this time. Then all of a sudden, see an email say that we're going to push it till 10:45, and at that time, so I think someone was optimistic that it was going to turn at around 7 o'clock. So someone out there, I don't know who it was, but as you said, it's kind of clear, looking at what was going on, that it wasn't going to turn. So it was unfortunate.
So this team is the affiliate of which major league team again? Sorry,
the high A affiliate of the Cleveland Guardians, the Lake County Captains.
Okay, so I don't know if that affects your cheering of the Toronto Blue Jays, because I know you were a Blue Jays guy growing up here in Canada. Yep. Just your thoughts. I'll wrap it up on the Blue Jays best first half, and they're doing it with a scrappy team. Like, they've got a couple of stars, but a real scrappy bunch. You think they can keep it up?
I don't know if they can keep it up to the level they've been doing. I mean, when you look at the start of the year, and they kind of were hovering around 500 for a long time. Like, April, May, we did not think we had this same team. And then the calendar flips to June, and all of a sudden these guys are gangbusters, and they win, 10 in a row, and they're doing incredible things. And like I love the way they're doing. I mean, they got Vlad and they got Bo Bichette. After that, they got Springer who kind of is coming and having a good year. But it's a lot of scrappy guys. Like it's not that star-studded lineup like San Diego has. It's just a bunch of scrappy guys. It's been a lot of fun to watch. It's been really cool, and I hope they can keep it going. You start comparing this team to like the 92, the 93 Jays. Whenever that's in the same conversation, that's a pretty good thing for the current team.
Yeah. How are your ball teams doing, by the way?
Great. Portland Pickles, we won the first half, so we're going to be in the playoffs. Start of the year 19-1. I think we're about 30-6 right now. Looking good. Team out in Ohio, we didn't win the first half, but we're looking pretty good. We're a decent team, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so help me out with the lingo here. I get baseball, but you won the first half, meaning that you've set yourself up, or if you win the first half, you get into the playoffs. How does that work?
Yeah. So how it usually works in minor leagues, they usually divide it into the first half and the second half, because most times your team in the first half is drastically different than the second half.
Right.
So if you win the first half, you're automatically in the playoffs come late August or in Lake County situation in September.
Hey, and lastly, what do you make of the Red Sox being purchased by Sean Semple along with Al Simpson, and it's going to be a privately run team now?
I think it's great. It's been a community-based team for all those years, which I think is fine. But we have some guys with some deep pockets, as those two do. They can add a little bit more to the team. To get a new stadium would be amazing. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I feel like we've been talking about it for a while. I'd love to see a new stadium on Dudney. I hope that happens, but I think it's just they're going to bring in the team's been run great. Gary Brotzel's run that team great for years. I think we're going to take it to the next level with private ownership now.
So this segment is brought to you by Ben Garrow over Advantage Collision in Saskatoon and PA. He's like a chuck wagon racer, like he's in the chuck wagons. He's rolled one before. I saw your buddy Brendan Labatt roll a car. He rolled his car in Estevan and got out after a multiple flip. Would you race a car, or if you had to pick, would you race a car, or would you do what Ben's doing and do the chuck wagon and the chariot race?
I find animals pretty unpredictable. Okay, so I don't know what I'm getting on or getting behind. If I'm in a car, I feel like I have a lot more control. Okay, so I'm gonna go with my buddy Labatt, and I'm gonna stick to the cars.
Well, both of those, Ben rolled his one time. He broke everything in his body, and he's back racing again. And he's a little bit older than me and way older than you. So that takes I have a lot of respect for dudes like that. Or Labatt, he rolled his thing, gets out, and he's like, okay, whatever, big deal.
He's such a great guy. As we say in Canada, he's just an absolute beauty. He loves his stock car racing. I think that that was football was kind of like behind stock car racing in terms of the loves of his life. It seemed like, but just he's a guy that probably should have played in the NFL. The guy was absolutely fantastic lineman, but as you said, I heard he has quite this love for stock car racing, which I think is pretty cool. I
forgot. I asked him once, but I forgot what he said. Did he ever try the NFL? Did he go to Denver?
Yeah.
I thought he did go to Denver, didn't he?
He go to Denver? Was it? He went somewhere. This would have been, what it was, somewhere in the mid 2000s, or late 2000s. But he was just like the guy should have been an NFL player. He should have played 10 years in the NFL.
Yeah, great player, man. One of the best linemen in the Riders history in the last 30 years for sure. Hey, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Anytime, buddy.
Dale Derkatch, before we get to present day, when you watch hockey now, how much do you wish you would have played now?
Well, I get asked that question a lot, and the answer would normally be great. It would be great, especially with the figures they pay guys these days compared to when I was playing. But I always look at things like this. I think I was the player I was because I had to endure and go through the things I had to at the time when I was playing. I'm not sure I'd be the same player. Maybe I wouldn't be quite as, aggressive or competitive if I didn't have to go through all the things that I did. But my mom would probably like it a lot more playing in this day and age than when I played with the bench brawls and so on.
Hey, so you, with what you just described, how's that going to help you in your new role? How has it helped you get to where you are right now?
Yeah, I think you have to evolve all the time. I mean, I'm 60 years old now, but lucky enough, I had 3 boys who, kept me young through the way. And you as you're coaching them, as they're coming up, you have to adapt and change to the way things are in society and the way people have changed. I think I have a pretty good perspective of, today's player and how they need to be treated. Having said that, I still think I have a little bit of old school in me, and there are things that are not negotiable, like, treating people well, doing the right thing, being a good teammate. Those things are all still the same, and if you have those things, I think you can have a successful team.
Who taught you that?
I think you learn and you are who you are from growing up. I think your parents are your biggest influence. When you start out, of course, usually your mom, if you're with her most of the time, although in this day and age things have changed a bit. You might not be with your mom as much as you were when I was growing up. And a lot of people say about me, I look a lot like my dad, but my competitiveness and my fire comes from my mom and her personality. She was very competitive. She was a 5-footer, and you didn't even play a game of crib for nothing. You had to put a toonie on the table, right? Everything, you play every game for something.
Did Mom kick your ass in crib?
Oh, she's very good. Yes, she was quite good, quite competitive, and would keep playing until she won.
Yeah. How proud are you to wear that logo on just above your heart, and you're now the general manager of this hockey team?
Well, I'm honored, and it's a great opportunity to be able to lead the team that I played for, and not only played for, coached, scouted. I've done just about every job. I tell our equipment manager and our physio guys, watch out. There's a couple more jobs I haven't done yet. I got to probably do them all at some point. So yeah. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky that I'm still involved in hockey, and to be able to lead this team, and is a huge honor and a privilege.
What went into this? Was this always the plan, down the line? How did this come to be, Dale?
This wasn't a plan at all. I actually was having a meeting with one of our coaches today, and we talked about how, in hockey there's changeover. People are always moving. They're trying to aspire to move up, usually levels, especially when you're in the CHL or the Western League. It's a development league for everyone, players, coaches, so on. But in my case, I just do the job I'm doing at the time I'm doing it. I think the reasoning is I was lucky enough to play, which is the ultimate, and I played for 14 years. So any job after that, I'm just working at doing the best I can at that job. And really, it was not the plan up until a year ago. I was happy working for Columbus. I was a scout for them and enjoyed that. And I still had another year on my contract, and got a call. It was in May, so now about 13 months ago, from Al Miller. And he just said he's creating a new position and would like to chat with me about it. And I said, okay, sure, I'll chat with you. There's no harm in that. And he laid out a plan, and the plan was generally that, we'd work together. I'd do everything hand in hand with him, which was exactly as he said this past year. And he said the kind of plan would be that over time, if he moved on, that I would move into this role as the general manager. And how I looked at it was, I had another year with Columbus, like I said, and I liked that job, but I looked at this one as, I'm more involved. I have a big say in the building of the team. Even when I was the assistant general manager, I was the head of scouting. And with Al, I was close to, everything. And I like that challenge. And now, obviously, moving into the general manager role, I'm overseeing it all. So, and I'll stay in the scouting side. That's the area that I've done for the last 27 years, and I'll stay in that still.
So before I get to ask you some questions on your philosophies, what did you learn from Al Miller? Good people that are successful take a little bit from this guy and a little bit from that person, a little bit from that person, and then they still got to be them. But what did you learn from Al Miller?
Well, I'll tell you this. I did not know Al. I knew Al taking this job as well as I know you, Ballsy. And we're acquaintances, and that was the same with Al. So I was a little nervous when I was taking the job on how things were going to go, because I've had where people tell you, we're going to do this together, we're going to do that, and it doesn't happen. I'm going to tell you, Al, it was to the T. Exactly what he said, how we do things. He never made one move, one trade without talking to me, good or bad. People didn't like all the trades we were making, but I knew the players. He's a manager, and I was the guy who knew the players, so we did everything together. The big part for me with Al is that's part of it, being upfront and honest with people on how things are going to go. Al was an unreal communicator. You knew everything when you needed to know it, even earlier than you needed to know it, and that's not only for me, that's for all our scouting staff, our coaches. If we were making moves, you knew it first. Great communicator. He was organized. He kept us on track. Things were running smoothly all the time. I was totally impressed with everything I did with Al. He's an unreal manager, and I'm not surprised he is where he is, and with Hockey Canada, and probably will move on from there in short order. He's just really good, a really good person, treats people really well, and I enjoyed my time with him. So I hope I can continue that.
All right. So what kind of player is Dale Derkatch looking for? What does it mean to be a Regina Pat under Dale Derkatch? Well,
there are the values that I brought in and changed the scouting a little bit. Dale McMullen was the head of scouting, and he did a great job, and Dale still works for us. But I came in maybe with a couple areas that I said, let's bear down and use these two areas as our players we want that have these two skills, or whatever you want to call them. And they're actually not skills. They're actually character things, or things you are given. So for us, skating, let's call it a given these days. Used to in the past, you could write guys off because they couldn't skate. Everybody can generally skate. Yes, some better than others, but it's something you can work on. But after that, the two core values are competitiveness, and I'm not saying fighting, I'm saying you want the puck. You're going to do anything to get the puck. You're going to block shots. You're going to take a hit to make a play. We want that and hockey sense. So if you have those two things, the hockey sense and the competitiveness, you're an easy player to coach. You can play some role and you understand what the coaches are trying to teach you. Again, I've been lucky enough to have done every job. I've also coached this team. And one of the most frustrating things is, as a coach, when you have players who don't know themselves. The best players know themselves. They know their qualities. They know their attributes. And they understand when the coaches are talking and setting up systems. So if you have guys who understand and they compete, you're on a good track. So that's what we look for here with the Pats.
I love that, Dale. Okay, so let's be real here. I like being real. Okay, when you start a season, everybody wants to win a championship. I asked Al this question when he took the job over, so I'm asking you this. Realistically, for your hockey team this year, what is a realistic goal in terms of tangibly, like on paper, wins and losses, playoffs? What is a realistic goal for your team?
A realistic goal for me this coming year is we make the playoffs. We went through 2 hard years. I was only there for one of them. We made lots of moves to have lots of players that were young last year. So we have 10 2007s on the team last year when we ended. So those guys are all coming back. They will all now be 18 years old. They're not young anymore. Remember, the league is generally an older players' league, but these days, with the landscape and how things have changed, the 20-year-olds are probably the quality of those overall throughout the league. Many of them have gone on to NCAA, might not be the same. And then you have your 19-year-olds, which we do have 4 or 5 of those. So I think now we were one of the youngest teams, if not the youngest when we ended the year. We are now going to be in the middle of the league. We're not going to be old. We're not going to be young. now I expect all those players to take steps, and we are working towards making the playoffs and seeing what damage we can do in the playoffs. That would be the goal for this year.
Now, I called you for a reason. It had nothing to do with the current Pats. It has to do with a former teammate. We'll get to that in a second. But I got to ask one more question about the landscape of hockey. How does it affect a guy like you? What the McKenna thing? You know how the McKenna thing just went down in Medicine Hat. You got a superstar in the making, maybe on your hockey team that was just drafted. You know, not just you, but is there talk amongst your colleagues? Hey, like the landscape could be shifting a little bit here.
Yeah, it's a little bit disheartening, the players that are leaving. I can understand the 20-year-old guys moving on, and I think everybody in the league is behind those guys. But your 18 and 19-year-olds, you would hope to keep them until they're done their 19-year-old seasons. And now with some of those players leaving, that really puts some big holes in teams' arsenal. Like, I feel for Medicine Hat, they've lost 3 guys that should be in their lineup, and obviously a guy that might be the first round pick next year, which is a feather in your cap for your organization. It's kind of tough. So I was at my first GM's meeting here in June, and yes, there's a lot of talk about things we can do to try to keep those guys in our league, which we do need them. And our league might have, with the new landscape, gotten a little younger, but you would hope that we could hold on to the guys that are 18 and 19 until they move on to pro, and have the strong league. The Western League is looked at as one of the strongest leagues and a great development area for players. Not only that, coaches, and we want to continue to be one of the highest development of players in hockey. And we'll see. I think there's things in the works to try to make things more attractive to keep guys, but the NCAA has some big boots and big people behind them, so we'll see.
Lots of money there for sure. Okay, so Dale, I'm talking to my favorite Pats, but another one of my favorite Pats who probably became a more favorite of mine when he went on to the NHL was Lyndon Byers, who recently passed away, teammate and friend of yours. I want to get some words on Lyndon Byers from you. I never knew him. I interviewed him once. You could talk for a year. You just had to ask him one question. But just your thoughts on Lyndon Byers.
Yeah, that's so sad to hear. We've got a Pats alumni chat going on, so I've been in touch with Lyndon over the last 15 to 20 years just on that. So we keep in touch, and then there's the odd phone call. And it was pretty sad to have gotten a call about that he passed away. And I was lucky. Lyndon's a real good friend. We played together for 5 years in a row, 2 at Notre Dame and then 3 here with the Regina Pats. And only did we not play together, we generally played on the same line together for those 5 years. And really disheartening and sad. Lyndon was a special, one-of-a-kind guy. The way I put it, he was a real good friend. And yes, like you put it, he had stories upon story. No matter if you had a good story, he had one better. I always called him the one-upper, because no matter how good your story was, Lyndon had a better one. But, in the end, one of the nicest, kindest hearts ever. A really nice man. I feel so bad for the Byers family, and all the best to them.
Does it kind of put your listen? Everybody takes their own path. Nobody passes away at the same time. We all end up in the same place. But as a guy who you said he rode shotgun with you for 5 years, is it kind of sobering for you? I guess is the way I'm putting it. Does it put life in perspective a little bit?
Well, it sure does. I mean, I always say this, and I joke around with my sons who are, make fun of me and stuff. I say, hey, you're going to be sad when I'm gone. You're going to miss my voice. And they laugh. But at this point, yeah, we do all know people that are around my age that have passed away for whatever reason. So I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, do the best I'm doing, and hopefully God's good to me and keeps me around for a few more years. And let's hope it's around to see the Pats hoist the Ed Chenault Cup and the Memorial Cup.
Yeah, for sure, man. They got the right man in charge, and you don't look your age, that's for sure. One last thing about Lyndon. You talked about being a shorter guy, scrappier guy. What was it like to have that guy ride shotgun with you for a good chunk of your career?
Well, I was lucky. I had lots of guys like that. I was so lucky to have guys like Lyndon, or let's go on, Al Tour, Jeff Crawford, Garth Butcher. The list goes on. Mark Centroni, that I played with. And I look at it, we had great teams here with the Pats. We went to 2 finals in 3 years. And the reason was, and as everyone always says, they were great hockey players, but they were great people, and they were competitive. And that's the big one right there. They were competitive. And we had the odd scrap in practice. We had the odd fight in the dressing room. But you know what? When we went out on the ice, we were brothers. We were together. And that's what I'd like to see out of the Regina Pats moving forward.
That's the best way to end it right there. And I can't wait to see that too. Calling a few of the games on Access. Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ballsy. Anytime. Take care.